What's going on, closers? Dominic Caminata here with Regency University. Out here, another beautiful Warrior Wisdom walk. As you can see here in Madison, Wisconsin. Nice sunny day. It's about 65, got a nice little breeze. Perfect day to get out here and get some steps in and share some Warrior Wisdom. And today's headline of the Warrior Wisdom talk is for all you sales pros out there that are so hell-bent on selling on logic instead of selling on emotion. The big headline is, people buy what they want, not what they need. People buy what they want. You gotta understand that human beings are very unreasonable animals, and if they want something bad enough, nothing's gonna stop them from obtaining it. This is why Rick Ross always said the best clothes in the world is a masterful presentation. Because when you deliver a masterful presentation, the prospects have high levels of need, want, and desire for what it is that you're offering, right? So this is why we talk about focusing on the emotion. You know, what it's going to do for them means more to them than what it is, okay? But I just want to talk about how powerful this motivator is in terms of buying things that you want. And I got some success stories I want to share from some of our clients. But I got a personal story I often share when I'm doing sales trainings, just to show you how unreasonable human beings are. And when I say human beings, I mean me. Because I'm a human being. I'm very illogical, irrational. And when I want something bad enough, it's crazy the lengths I'll go to obtain it. So the story I share, this goes back to 2018. As many of you know, my wife and I, we live out in the country. We live out in 5.5 acres. Got a nice little homestead out there. And we got a massive garden. But the garden is about 100 yards from our house. So for years, my wife, every time she was gardening, and of course I do help her, by the way, we're having to go back and forth from the garden to the house, from the house to the garden. And it just takes forever, especially around harvest time, when you're trying to transport all the fresh vegetables from your garden to your home. It's just like 1.5 billion steps a year. And my wife always asks me, she's like, could I at some point get some sort of UTV or some sort of golf cart that can help transport me around this property so I'm not having to literally haul all this stuff in wheelbarrows and wagons? And of course, I'm like, sure, we'll definitely make the investment. So in 2018, we decided to go ahead and start shopping for this UTV again, which in our mind, we were thinking a golf cart with a glorified dumping box, right? So we go to this place in Madison, Wisconsin that I know sells utility vehicles. This place called Mad City Power Sports. And a great place, by the way, if you're in Madison, you're looking for a high performance machine, they got amazing stuff. But we went there, and of course they have all these Can-Am twin turbo, 2000 cc, several hundred horsepower, go Mach 5 with your hair on fire types of machines. They were very much overkill for what we were looking for. We're not looking to spend 40 grand on something to do some gardening, right? I don't need to go 140 miles an hour to transport vegetables. So a lot of the machines they had there were obviously amazing machines if you're going Baja on the sand dunes or if you're going trail riding, but not for what we were looking for. So I'm basically like, they don't really have what we're looking for here. But since we're here anyway, I always got these brilliant ideas, by the way. Since we're here anyway, my wife and I for years have been talking about the idea of owning a pontoon boat. We always love the idea of being able to troll around with our kids, our close friends, have a grill, have a cooler, just kind of chilling for the day, being out in the open water. And it's an investment we talked about making for years and years. And I had noticed that they had several different pontoon boats on display on the lot. So I told my wife, since we're here anyway, why don't we just take a peek at some of these pontoon boats just to get some ideas. Have you ever had your prospects say that before? That we're not interested in doing it right now, we're just getting ideas, quote unquote. So this is why you gotta ignore that early on, because if you create high levels of need, want, and desire for your products and services, you can make that become a priority pretty quick. So anyway, we get a salesperson to help us uncover these boats, kind of showing us around. And the first one we looked at was a Sun Tracker. It was a 24-foot. And I wasn't impressed at the engine. It was a Mercury engine, good brand, but it was only a 90 horsepower engine. And I always thought, I like the idea of a pontoon, but also like the idea of being able to do like tubing and skiing, do some water sport activities. And I knew a 90 horsepower engine wasn't really going to get us there. And the color was okay. It was kind of like a black and gray type of interior, but the layout was kind of weird. It didn't flow really well, so I'm like, you know, this isn't really doing it for me, honey. So then we go and look at the next one, and it was an improvement on the motor. It was a 150 horsepower motor, which I loved, but it was this like really ugly red and beige color that I wasn't a big fan of. And again, the interior wasn't laid out very well. So we check out a few of these things, and we're like, you know what? We weren't really interested in doing anything anytime soon anyway. We're just getting some ideas. So maybe we'll come back at some point in the future and see what you guys have at that point. So the sales rep's like, okay, absolutely no problem. So we're walking back to our car, and the salesperson is walking back with us. And I happened to notice on the other side of the lot, there was this massive Tri-Toon. Now, those of you that don't know what a Tri-Toon is, it's like a pontoon, but it's got 3 logs on the bottom. So Tri-Toons are more sporty, they're quicker, they're faster, they're more agile, and they got more buoyancy because they got 3 logs versus 2, so you can typically fit more people on there, right? So I asked the brilliant question to the salesperson, like, what is that over there? I'm like, is that a Tri-Toon? Well, Captain Obvious, right? And the salesperson's like, absolutely. That's a Regency Tri-Toon. We just got it delivered today. We're still putting it together, getting it ready to show to people, but if you want to go take a look at it, you're happy to go take a peek if you want. I'm like, sure, I'll go take a look. I'm like, by the way, what's a Regency? He's like, well, Regency is like the Lexus of the Sun Tracker. It's one of the finest Tri-Toons on the water. It's like, this is a luxury brand Tri-Toon that's going to turn a lot of heads. So of course I'm already getting excited to see what this thing's all about. And as we get closer, we start walking up to this Tri-Toon. I couldn't help notice how big it was. I'm like, holy crap, how big is this thing? He's like, well, from the motor to the front end of the boat is over 36 feet, but in the interior it's 28 feet long. I mean, you could fit 15, 18 of your closest friends and still have plenty of room to grill out and have a party. So of course, what am I picturing in my mind? In my mind, I'm picturing having 18 of my closest friends. We have plenty of room to hang out. We have plenty of buoyancy with the 3 logs. So I'm starting to play this movie in my mind of all the wonderful things that are going to happen when I own this boat. So you got to understand that your prospects will always make a decision hypothetically before they ever make it a reality, right? They're always going to play a movie in their mind of all the things that are going to happen, for better or for worse, when they own your product. One movie is, what are the things that could go wrong if I make the wrong decision? And then another movie is, what are the things that could go right if I make the right decision and I fall in love with this and I have a great experience, right? So of course I'm playing the positive movie. Now, one thing I also noticed is the logs in the bottom and the bottom of the pontoon, or the Tri-Toon, they were finished. You notice on most of the pontoons how it's just raw aluminum, doesn't look very good. These are actually diamond coated logs. I'm like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen where they actually paint the logs on the bottom. And the salesperson chimes in, he's like, you know, that's a Regency exclusive. They're the only manufacturer that diamond coats their logs. It makes the entire boat look like a work of art on the water, and you talk about turning heads, they get people breaking their neck trying to take a peek at this thing. So again, what am I picturing in my mind? Driving down the lake with 18 of my closest friends, with a smile on my face so wide I can put a banana in there sideways. People looking at my painted logs, like anyone gives a shit, by the way. But this is how illogical and irrational people are. And I absolutely love the color scheme. It was this black and white 2-tone color scheme. It was absolutely attractive. It had really fancy LED headlights on the front of it. They were super modern looking, super aggressive. The whole thing looked sporty and just upper class. And then I get around the back of this thing, and this Tri-Toon has a 350 horsepower, supercharged Verado Mercury outboard engine. And like Tim the Two-Man Taylor, I'm like, oh. I'm getting excited. I'm like, holy cow, I've never seen an outboard that big in a pontoon boat before. He's like, that is one of the finest outboard engines in the world. And with that supercharged engine on the back of this Tri-Toon, you can get this bad boy up to over 50 miles an hour. So what am I picturing? Again, smile on my face so wide I can put a banana sideways. 18 of my closest friends going 50 miles an hour with my diamond coated logs and my fancy LED headlights, turning heads like crazy. People's necks are gonna be breaking all over the lake just watching me fly by, right? And I'm playing this movie in my mind. And then we walk up into the Tri-Toon, and there's so much luxury seating, there's lounge chairs everywhere. There's about 35 cup holders. It's this beautiful platinum 2-tone gray interior, just absolutely stunning. And the captain's chair is a big, beautiful, lush chair with a big-ass GPS navigation system that had a rear-view camera. So if you're pulling someone tubing or skiing, you didn't have to look back, you just look at the dash and you can see what's going on behind you. The canopy that comes up, you don't have to manually put that up, you push a button, the canopy comes up on its own. It's absolutely incredible. And what am I starting to say to myself? I want it, I need it, I must have this boat. I want it, I want the boat. And I'm picturing this, I'm like, man, this would change our lives, this is incredible. I'm picturing all the memories we'd make with our kids, with our friends, with our family. So then the sales rep asked me a very important question. He's like, I see you're driving a Dodge Durango. He's like, is that the only vehicle you had to pull this thing? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, is that a problem? He's like, well, yeah. I mean, this is a massive boat. It weighs about 8,500 pounds. And it's got about 900 pounds of tongue weight because it's so long. You're gonna crush that Durango. It's not gonna be able to pull this thing. So I'm basically like, so you're telling me that if, hypothetically, if I were to buy this boat, I wouldn't be able to use the vehicle that I currently own. Is that what you're telling me? And the salesperson's like, yes, of course. So I'm like, well, there's one solution to this problem. So true story. Okay. I saw the Tri-Toon on a Saturday. Of course, none of the dealerships were open on Sunday. On the following Monday, I went to a car dealership and bought a truck. And then I came back on Tuesday with my brand new truck to buy my brand new 2018 Regency Tri-Toon, because no one in the world was gonna stop me from owning this boat that I must have. I must have it. So I want you to think about this story. My wife and I were initially there to look for a golf cart with a dumping box for gardening. And I ended up investing, I don't even know, what was it? $160,000 or more? Going $160,000 in debt because I wanted the experience, I wanted the memories. I wanted to have that boat in my life because of what it could do for me and how it made me feel. It was the most illogical, irrational thing in the history of humanity. And the cherry on top, it was September when I bought this damn boat. September. Now who buys a boat in September? Someone's lost their damn mind, right? I got it out one time and then it got too cold. We had to winterize and store the damn thing. So what's the moral of the story? So too often in salespeople get caught up on the logic of it all. So I have a client of mine that does kitchen refacing, cabinet refacing. And they had an issue where their closing rate dipped down because their sales reps fell into the trap of following the path of least resistance and trying to design kitchens that were economical and low price. Instead of selling the dream, you gotta sell what they want. So they made that one shift. The salespeople started selling the dream. Just forget about price, forget about it. Just sell the dream, sell what they truly want and see what happens. And sure enough, their average sale went up, their closing rate went up, their retention went up because people buy what they want, plain and simple. They don't buy what they need. Oh, and by the way, fast forward a couple years later, we did end up getting a UTV. So there is a light at the end of that tunnel there for my wife. So we did get a UTV with a dumping box, so we did get it. But the whole moral of the story is, stop beating your head up against the wall trying to sell on logic. Again, people justify their decision with logic, but the entire decision to buy from you is based on how they feel about it. And what's gonna make them feel right about it is you selling what they want. This is why the masterful presentation is king. Because how much desire do they truly have for the products and services and solutions that you're offering? How much do they want it? So if you're having a hard time building value, getting people to truly want, need, and desire what you're selling, definitely reach out to Gross University. We got extensive training on how to deliver the masterful presentation so you can make that close a natural conclusion. And a lot of it is selling on emotion, getting them to truly want and desire what it is that you're selling. If you can accomplish that and they want to move forward, that's where the close does become the natural conclusion. And the only obstacle you have left on the table is fitting into a budget that they can afford. But the heavy lifting is done. So people buy what they want, not what they need. Stop selling on logic, sell on emotion. Get them to truly want, need, and desire what it is that you're there to sell. And you too can be a top performer in your chosen profession. So if you like this content, make sure you give it a thumbs up. comment, make sure you share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As I said on this Warrior Wisdom Walk in the past, I'm gonna be dumping all kinds of tips on leadership, sales, mindset, life, just in general, wellness, optimizing yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. So don't miss any of these episodes. You won't regret it. I appreciate your time. I'm grateful for you. And on behalf of the entire Grouse University team, yes, you are a closer.